Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. All right, so this is, well, the last 2 days I've been filling book tags. I don't normally do a lot of book tags, but two well-respected people in my YouTube Booktube universe have tagged me. So I did one yesterday, and I'm doing one today. So I got tagged for this tag by Another Bibliophile Reads. Great booktuber. Check him out. Really cool. Has like live streams and other things that he talks about. I love his delivery, and really cool guy. I think in this book tag we're gonna have a lot of similarities. So I'm not copying you. It's just how it is. We're kind of about the same age, I would say. Anyways, the tag is the King of Horror, Stephen King tag. Yep, right up my alley, of course. So I've got all of my props, my books stacked around me, and I'm going to use them in this book tag. I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's get it started. Oh, and I will link Another Bibliophile Reads channel below. Please check out his channel. All right, number one. How did you get into reading Stephen King? Well, I've talked about this before on my channel, probably several times. It's my mother. My mother is the reason why I read. She was a huge reader. She was one of those people that had a book in every room. And if she's in that room, she'd pick it up and read a little bit of it. I'm not that good. I kind of like to read one book at a time. Last year I kind of got away from that. I was reading multiple books. This year I've slowed down a little bit. But anyways, because of my mother, I mean, she just had books always. I used to love to sit in front of her bookshelf and just stare at the books when I was a little kid. And I grabbed this one. I told this story about this. I grabbed this one when I was my first one when I was like 12 years old, and I snuck it off her bookshelf because I didn't know if she would let me read it, and I would read it at night, like under the covers of my bed, and I ended up getting sick, and I threw up. I vomited all over this book, her book. I don't have that one, but she was actually kind of, she got mad at me, but she kind of was happy that I was, reading at that age. Which leads into the second question. The second question is, what was the first Stephen King book you read? And this is the one we're talking about. Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Yeah, that was my first book. Like I said, I was about 12 years old. I loved it. It was scary. It was cinematic. I just got into his style of writing right off. And I've been a fan ever since. So, I mean, I just read Holly. I finished Holly, 2 weeks ago. So, and I always say welcome my constant reader friends, because he's my all-time favorite author. So, Salem's Lot was my very first one. All right, what are we on to? Number 3. Have you read a Stephen King book published the year you were born? No, I haven't. I'm older than that. No, he didn't publish any books the year I was born, so I can't. Sorry. And so what is next? Number 4. Which of his books do you prefer to collect? Hardcover editions or paperback? Or doesn't it matter at all? It does matter to me. I am really probably... Geez, if I looked at all my bookshelves, I mean, I've got a lot behind me that you never see that are paperback, but for the vast majority, are hardbacks. I prefer reading a hardback book. I have a Kindle over here. I've read maybe one book. I think, I've read The Hunger Games on it. I like hardbacks. I like to smell them. I like to hold them. But sometimes, I do collect his books because that's how they came out originally. For instance, I've got a couple here. The Green Mile series, right? So, I mean, I've got them all. Oh, they're not in order. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They came out originally like this, like Penny Dreadfuls, short little novels. I bought them like that. Of course, now you can get it in a hardback. And usually that's what I do. When they do come out in hardbacks, I'll try to pick them up. But it's not, you know, the biggest thing for me. That's how they came out, so that's how I started reading them. The Green Mile, for instance. His hard case crime novels. Colorado Kid, Joyland, later. Originally come out as paperback versions, like the old, man, this one's 8 up. I had some silverfish or something got into my books, holy cow. The Colorado Kid, when they do come into hardback, I do get them. I have Joyland in hardback. Later costs too much. I don't even know if there's a Colorado Kid. There probably is. It's probably too much for me to get. And for instance, like The Dark Tower. When I first, this is the only way I found it. And the first, 4 books were this, you know, this Plum Publishing, trade paperback style, Dark Tower, The Gunslinger. But later on, the books were published hardback, and I have since picked up, for instance, The Gunslinger in this nice hardback form. Now, a lot of these, of course, have special editions, like, what is it, Sun Tup, and different editions that you can find at different places that have taken a lot of these and made them specialty books that are very expensive. I don't have every edition of his books. I would say, I counted the other day, I think 9. I have 9 books that aren't first. I do try to collect them in hardback and first. That's the vast majority, but there are some that, you know, don't. I mean, there's some that, you know, are came out EPUB, you know, and things like that, like his essay on guns and stuff. But anyways, I digress. All right, next. Number 5. How many of his books are on your bookshelves? Everyone. I have every single book that he has published in book form, and some like paperback form. I'll show you. I'm doing my Shorty King video pretty soon, because I did finish Just After Sunset. Just After Sunset has Gingerbread Girl in it, and I collected Gingerbread Girl. I was going through a phase where I'm trying to collect them as they first appeared. So I have the original Gingerbread Girl when it came out in Esquire magazine, for instance. Things like that. But I have everything. Everything now. I have a bookshelf, a Stephen King bookshelf video that I did my first year of Booktube last year. At that point, I didn't have everything, but now it's been about 2 years and I have everything now. So yeah, everything. Number 6. Stephen King is known for long and gory novels. Which of his novels was tough for you to read? I chose 2 to show you. One a little bit older and one a little bit more recently. Just difficult for me to get through. A lot of people will bring this one up. The Tommyknockers. Just a difficult time, I guess, in his life. All over the place. It actually took me 3 tries to get through this. I started reading it, didn't like it, set it down for a while, started back up again. I even picked it up, you know, several years, a little more recently, like within the last 5 years, and finally read through the whole thing. I don't think it's as horrible. I mean, there's a nostalgic value to it, I guess. The movie sucked, but it's not his worst, but it's not, all right, let's be honest, it's not one of his best novels. That was difficult for me to get through. And a more recent one, and this is Stephen King and Owen King, Sleeping Beauties. This is not a good book. I really do not like this book. Sorry, Owen. Sorry, Stephen. Cool, beautiful cover. Nice big book, chunky book. Not good. I do not like this book at all. It's one of my least favorite books he's ever published. Yeah, difficult to get through. Took me forever. And this is the only one and this will go to kind of to another question. This is the only book I have signed. Owen and Stephen King, I got them on book tour to sign this book for me. So I do that. This is my only signed book by Stephen King. Go figure. And one of the ones I dislike the most. All right, on to number 7. Have you DNF'd a Stephen King book? I have never DNF'd a book, ever. I don't DNF books. If I spend the money to buy it, if I see it on my shelf and it draws me enough that I open up that cover and start reading it, I owe it to the author and the book to finish the book. Now, that being said, this isn't, I guess, related to Stephen King, but I do have 2 that, I've set aside. I haven't DNF'd them. I will finish them, but it's taken me a while. And I'm going to show the first one, of course, is, I've talked about this, From Hell by Alan Moore. I love Alan Moore. I love the movie. You can see, it's a difficult read for me. And it's taking me some time. So I have not finished this one yet, but I haven't DNF'd it. And this one, Victor Hugo, Les Miserables. The only complete and unabridged paperback edition. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. I have carried this around with me for 30 odd years, I think. It's ridiculous. I like it. It's really interesting. And I'm a theater geek. I love the musical. I love the movie of the musical. But it's just, look at the print on this. It's just tiny, tiny print. There is 1,463 pages of tiny print in this, and I am on, I'm 737. I'm like almost exactly halfway through the book. That's funny. I will, though. I keep it. I've carried it everywhere. I've carried it overseas when I was in the military. I've carried it in the back of a backpack, and I've moved and lived and loved and lost, and I still carry this book. And every once in a while, I pick it up and I read a couple chapters, and I set it down. I will finish this book someday. Promise. Those are the only 2 that I haven't finished. I finish books. I don't DNF books. Long answer to a short question, right? What's next here? Number 8. Have you read this book? Have you read his books in publication order? No. Of course not. The first book I read was Salem's Lot. So that tells you right there. Carrie was first. I haven't read them in publication order. There were years, like when I was overseas, in Europe and stuff, I didn't have access to the books as they were coming out, but when I would get one, I'd get one, and it wasn't in order. So no, I haven't. Number 9, what Stephen King books would you like to read but haven't yet? All right, get ready. There's 9 of his 40-some books I have not read yet. And this one, everyone says, what? Dead Zone. I haven't read it. Don't know why. I don't know. Haven't read it. Dead Zone. I'm doing them in order, publication. Well, you'll see, in order. This is with Peter Straub, of course. This is Black House. I haven't read this. I didn't really like Talisman that much. It wasn't bad. It's a Dark Tower book for sure. But I just, you could almost tell I felt in that book when Stephen was writing and when Peter was writing. And it kind of was too jarring for me. So I never went on to read this. I've had it forever, but haven't read that one. Next, again, another book, The Dark Half. Haven't read it. Again, like I said just before, I haven't read these in publication order, so it's impossible. I haven't. Dark Half. Oh, we got a whole stack of them. There's 9. Needful Things. Haven't read it. Big book, Castle Rock Stories. I've heard some people say it's difficult to get through. I haven't read it. From Buick 8. I'm not a fan of his car books, his car stories. He loves his evil, possessed, demonic vehicles. I'm not a huge fan of Christine. I'm just not. This came out, of course, I got it, and I was like, I got no interest in reading it. I still really don't, but I will eventually. This one, this is only, I guess, well, I don't know, the Richard Bachman book that everybody knew by this point who, you know, Stephen King was Richard Bachman. Blaze, I haven't read Blaze yet. Short book, I'll get to that. We'll get this done shortly, probably sooner than later. Blaze, I don't even have room for everything on my table anymore. Full Dark, No Stars is my next. I'm reading this in November as part of my Shorty Kings project, short story compilation. That's November, so that one will get read next month. I haven't read this one yet. I know Kim, the paper traveler, was on me about this. 11/22/63. Haven't read it. Watched the series, the TV series or whatever of it. I enjoyed it. I hear this is a great book, one of his best. People love it. Haven't read it. Just haven't yet. But we'll get to that one too. I swear. And last but not least is The Bizarre Bad Dreams, which will be in November. So October, Full Dark, No Stars, and in November, The Bizarre Bad Dreams, another short story compilation. That will be the last of my short story compilation in my Shorty King series that I'm doing, because I'm not going to read, what was it, Bad, oh geez, whatever. I'm not going to read the last one because I already did a video on that, and I read that last year, so anyways, yeah. So, Bizarre Bad Dreams, here, you can go over here. Those are the only books I have not read of Stephen King, and so we'll get it done. We'll get them done. All right, number 10. Name a book he has written that other people liked, but you didn't. I don't know. I get in conversations with people sometimes on my channel because I do, Stephen King videos, and a lot of people will say, "What? You don't like this book? I love this book." Lisey's Story. No. Didn't like it at all. There's so much with this that I don't like. It is similar, like I talk about Rose Madder. I loved Rose Madder. I don't know why. People, and I've had conversations with people, I hated Rose Madder. That's on a lot of people's list of books they didn't like. Really cool book though, with that cutout there of the shovel, and the inside is really cool, really pretty. Look at that. It's a wraparound. Really cool. But maybe I love the thing that he does whenever he's promoting one of his new books. He and the whoever's interviewing him will say, "Oh, what are your 5 favorite books of your own?" And he'll always say the most recent book, that's being published. I did not like Lisey's Story at all. Sorry. All right. Next one, number 11. Name a book of his you think is underrated. Another one that I have conversations with people about all the time, and that's Insomnia. I loved Insomnia. I mean, it's a big book. It was a little bit of a slog in places, but this book is so integral to the multiverse of Stephen King. There's so much in here that is relevant to so many of his other books. So much of the stuff in here informs other stories. I mean, the balloons go back to it. I could talk about this book probably forever. There's a lot in here. Yeah, the story kind of doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, but it does. And I think if you are a Stephen King fan and you're really into the multiverse of his novels, this is integral. I think it's one of the ones that, look at him right here. I think it's one of the ones that really is underrated. A lot of people talk about not liking Insomnia. I really liked it. And, okay, so what's next? Number 12, creepy characters. Which Stephen King characters would you like to have dinner with? Well, I chose 3 because I just don't want to have a 2-person dinner. I like to have some conversation. I picked 3 others, so there'd be 4 of us at the table, and they aren't necessarily the creepy characters, although one kinda is, and that's the first one, Danny Torrance. I would love to have dinner with Danny Torrance as an adult, not as a kid. You know, I don't know. He's just super interesting to me. Anybody that has that thing in their head, and I'm getting a little weirded out here. Yeah, I love Danny Torrance. One of my favorite characters. Next, Beverly Marsh. I'm a sucker for redheads. I love redheads. I always have. I don't know. She's such a strong, awesome character. I mean, you know, it is my favorite book of Stephen King book of all time, and I would love to have be able to talk to Beverly. And last is Holly Gibney. She's so freaking interesting. If you haven't read any of the books that include Holly Gibney, you have to. You got to start reading them. I just finished Holly. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Great character. You know, you can't deny he writes great characters. But those would be my 3. If I wanted to do, you know, the creepy ones, I could probably come up with 3 creepy ones. But yeah, that's who I'd love to have dinner with. All right, this was a long tag. There were 17 prompts to this tag, so bear with me. 13, has Stephen King inspired you to start reading or writing? Yes, of course. 12 years old, I read Salem's Lot, and I'm still reading Stephen King to this day, and I always will. But now I've got 2,000 books, 3,000. Oh, I haven't even ever counted them. You know, they take up half my house. So, yeah. And of course, writing. I've written 2 novels and I don't know how many short stories, but one of the books that I love that helped me on that is on writing. If you haven't read this is really cool because like the first half of the book is his history. You know, why he became a writer in his childhood and things. Very interesting read. And then in the back, he goes through, you know, how you set up a sentence and write a scene and things like that. On Writing is a great book. It's just fun to read even if you're not a writer. So yes, of course, he has inspired me. What's next? Okay, number 14. If you were able to meet Stephen King, what would you say? I've met him twice. So I've talked to him. I used to be a manager in one of the first full casino in Maine, and I lived in Maine for 15 years. I've been to his house. I've met him twice. I've talked to him. Asked, you know, I didn't talk about writing with him. I mean, I said, yes, I'm a huge fan, of course, you know, my favorite book is it, and then I just started talking to him like a normal dude. He is really a cool guy to talk to. My ex-wife graduated high school, went to high school and graduated with, you know, Owen and Joe. She was raised and grew up in Bangor, which is the next question, number 15. Have you ever been to Bangor, Maine? Yes, many times. I've worked there. I've been there many times. Like I said, I've been to his house in Bangor. Really cool place. He loves baseball, as you know. He loves the Red Sox. He built a huge Little League complex basically in his backyard with lights and everything. Really cool place. Yeah, I've been to Bangor and I've met Stephen King twice. Next, number 16. So that was 14 and 15. Which do you prefer more, his books or his movies? Of course, his books. I mean, everything. How many times have you heard people say, oh, wow, I really liked that movie, but the book's better? The books are always better to me. I really don't know very many movies that I could say are better than the books. So yeah, absolutely, books are better. And so then that leads on to the next one. Name your favorite Stephen King movies. Movies or even like series. I mean, there's a bunch. There's a bunch that suck. I really don't like. But even those ones, I've gotten to the point where nostalgic wise, I like them. Unfortunately, they're like remaking them. So like Carrie, I love Carrie, the original. Not so much the remake. Pet Sematary, I love Pet Sematary, the original. Not so much the remake. I liked them both. I liked the original series, and I liked the new movies as well. Stand By Me, Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, awesome, really good movies, and we could go on and on. Even the new The Outsiders series, the Brady Hartsfield series on TV I didn't like as much, but you're not going to go wrong. Even Creep Show, as campy as it is fun now for me. Cat's Eyes, I can't stand. I hate it. I didn't like Children of the Corn. I mean, we could talk about those too. All right, this is getting long enough, and that's really the last prompt. Yay! Number 18 is tag other people, and nope, I don't normally tag people. Like I said in my last one, what I do is I put it out there. If you are a booktuber, or if you're not, and you want to start a booktube channel maybe, and you watched this video and you thought it was cool, and you're maybe a Stephen King fan and you want to show off some books, some stacks of books, go for it. Do the tag. I would love to watch them. I will watch them, but I don't like to specifically tag people and kind of make them feel like they're beholden to me to do it. So I just don't do it. So anyways, that's it. And so as usual, if you found any entertaining value in my video and you would like to, please like, subscribe, leave me comments, and until next time, peace out.